Chief engineer of the water park construction project between 1939 and 1941. Seating for about 800 to my left. To my right, we have the stage. If you look at the backstage, notice the 5 mounted bronze bells. Each one of the bells represents one of the 5 San Antonio missions. The center bell is engraved with a tribute to Robert H. Hugman, concept architect for the water park. Now, if you look directly in front of the boat end up, that little footbridge you see is named the Rosita Bridge in honor of Rosita Fernandez, who performed at the Arneson in excess of 20 years. You may also recognize it if you saw the movie Miss Congeniality, because on the bridge and on the stage is where they filmed the swimsuit competition that was used in that movie. Today, La Valita is an artisan community. Its display area is over the wall to my left, containing a rather large number of stores, shops, and booths, specializing in arts, crafts, paintings, hobbies, things of that nature. Now, if you look off the front of the boat to the right, you will see a sculpture titled Going to the Briscoe, because the cattle are running up the river bend, or the river bank, I should say, to the Briscoe Western Art Museum, which opened in early 2014 and contains art and artifacts dating from the arrival of the Spanish and Europeans in this part of the country to the present day. Today, San Antonio enjoys a rather robust and diversified economy. We are the 7th largest city in the United States, and we do enjoy a healthy growth rate. But back in the late 1800s and for most of the 1900s, our % industry was military, primarily due to the 5 major bases that were located here. The bridge we're passing under is part of that heritage. It is a 100% prefabricated iron bridge, erected here in 1890 so the military could quickly cross the river with their equipment. Coming out from underneath the bridge, if you look off the front of the boat at river level to my right, you will see one of our more popular sites. It's called Marriage Island. I do believe that's maybe what's happening right now. There were 274 of them last year. Bliss in its infancy. Folks, if you look off to the right, you can see a mosaic or a mural. It identifies this portion of the river to be Old Mill Crossing. In the early 1800s, prior to these bridges and the flood control system, this section of the river was very shallow with a hard-packed clay bottom, which allowed wagoners to cross without having to unload and reload their cargo. Now, if you look to my right, you can see the West End Hotel. It opened in 1999, and it has earned the reputation of being the location of choice for visitors wishing to relax and recharge, because it is on the quiet side of the river. Now, if you look all the way up to my left, to the top of the building flying the American flag, that is the Tower Life Building. It opened in 1929. It is 404 feet high, has 30 stories, and is of neo-Gothic architecture. If you look all the way up to its top 2 floors, notice the gargoyles, animal-like creatures extending from each of the building's corners, engineered into the roof's drainage system, which allows excess rainwater to drain from the roof through the mouths of the gargoyles. Now, if you'll come down to the bottom of the 2nd story, notice the grotesques. Facial features below each of the building's pillars. They are in pairs, 1 woman and 1 man. If the woman is smiling, the man has a horrible look on his face. If you move to the next set, where the woman is frowning, notice that the man is smiling. Now, I don't have the backstory on that one, but if it was a more modern building, I'd say maybe last month's credit card bills. Now, if you look up to my right, that big building that you see opened in 1919 as the San Antonio Drug Company. Like many others along our river, it has been declared a historic site, which means it cannot be destroyed. So it's been renovated twice. The last time opening in 1995 as the Homewood Suites Hotel, because our growing hospitality industry required more hotels on the river. Now, if you look directly in front of the boat end up, the red building with the green tile roof is the Bexar County Courthouse. It opened in 1896. It's the longest continuous operating courthouse in the state of Texas. If you look up to my right, that big green building is our International Center. Opened in 1968 as the public library. Converted in 1998 and today houses the NAFTA business offices of the United States, Canada, and Mexico, as well as the San Antonio Convention and Visitors Bureau. We are now going to enter the flood control system. We will pass over floodgate number 4, buried in the river's bottom. If you look on either side of the boat at the bridgehead, notice the steel wear planes. They show you how the floodgate rises from the river's bottom like a drawbridge to protect this end of the river bend from flooding. The natural flow of the river proceeds to my left. It runs 138 miles southeast to the Guadalupe River, and then they both go out to the Gulf of Mexico. In September of 1921, San Antonio suffered a catastrophic flood. Water crested 9 feet above the bridges. 50 were known dead, millions of dollars damage was done. If the city was to survive, a flood control system was needed. It was designed and built between 1923 and 1929, consisting of a flood control channel and 4 floodgates. We are currently in the flood control channel. It is 700 feet long, connecting the north channel in front of the boat to the south channel behind the boat. And it provides a bypass for the river bend when we receive heavy rains and experience possible flooding. To protect the river bend, we close the floodgates in front of both ends. The system has 2 additional floodgates. One is in front of the boat in the north channel, the other behind the boat in the south channel. Both of those floodgates would be lowered. By lowering those floodgates, we lower the water level in this section of the river. By lowering the water level, because of the depth variance between the north channel at 4 feet deep and the flood control channel we're in at 18 feet deep, we create an artificial water chute or rapids that allows the excess rainwater and street drainage to very quickly run by this section of the river to the Gulf of Mexico, bypassing the river bend. In the 85 years since the system has been in operation, there has not been a major flood on this river. If you look to my right, you can see the Drury Plaza Hotel. Gets its name from Main Plaza, which is to my left. Now today, Main Plaza is just a city park. But if you look up the steps of the park to my left, at river level, you will see the twin towers of San Fernando Cathedral. It's one of the oldest churches in the United States. And in 1731, it served as the anchor building for Main Plaza as it became the first municipality founded in Texas. The source of the river is a spring located about 4 miles north of this position, fed by our Edwards Aquifer, which is the primary source of water for San Antonio and most of South Texas. If you look to my right, at river level, you'll see a walkway. 611 feet long, allowing pedestrians to traverse the entire water park without having to go to street level, gifted to the city by the Drury Plaza Hotel. Now, if you look directly in front of the boat and up, what you're looking at is a 350-year-old ball cypress tree. One of the oldest and largest trees on our river. It's also nicknamed the sniper tree, because back at the first Battle of Bayhair in December of 1835, a Mexican soldier hiding in that tree shot and killed Ben Milam, one of the leaders of the Texas Revolution. Now the big green thing in front of the boat is floodgate number 3. It is a pocket design gate. Floodgate is stored above the passage. It weighs about 3 tons, chain driven, takes about 15 minutes to lower, but when in place, protects this end of the river bed from flooding. If you look up to my right, you can see the Bella Restaurant sign. Just behind it along its wall, notice 2 trees growing through that wall. One is a box acre, the other is a fig tree. Remnant damage from the 1921 flood when this section of the river was totally destroyed. If you look up to my right again, you see the Esquire Tavern, the oldest bar on the river. Opening in 1933, shortly after Prohibition was repealed. Now if you look to my left, that big yellow building today is the Drury Inn and Suites Hotel. It opened in 1921 as a CPS building, city-owned public utility. To give you an idea of how much water we had in the river in 1921, you look through the windows of the hotel at the chandeliers, noting that if those chandeliers were there in 1921, they would have floated down the river with the rest of the debris. Now, some have said because of our flood control system, San Antonio will never experience another catastrophic flood. I'm very careful using the word never and Mother Nature in the same sentence. But I will tell you this, over Memorial Day weekend in 2013, San Antonio received 14 inches of rain in 12 inches of rain in 14 hours. 8 hours after it stopped raining, we were out here in boats like this doing tours. Point being, flood control system works. If you look up to my right, you see the Aztec Theater. Opened in 1926 as a silent movie house. It is of Mayan architecture. It is the last remaining Aztec-themed theater in the state of Texas. It's been declared a historic site and renovated. Now, if you look at the little footbridge in front of the boat, it is nicknamed the Selena Bridge. Jennifer Lopez had a scene filmed on that bridge that was used in the movie Selena. If you look up to my right, the yellow and the red building is the Macara Hotel and Spa. Between 1901 and 1923, it was the site of the L. Frank Saddlery Company, manufacturers of leather horse saddles and harnesses. Today, samples of their products are on display in the hotel's lobby. If you look up to my left, the big white building is the Omni La Mansión del Rio Hotel. Opened in 1853 as the St. Mary's School for Boys, which evolved to the St. Mary's Law School and later converted to St. Mary's University. When they outgrew the building in the mid-1960s, they moved their campus to West San Antonio. One of their graduates, an attorney by the name of Pat Kennedy, bought the building, renovated it, and opened it as the La Mansión del Rio Hotel for our hemisphere. Now, as we come out from underneath the bridge, if you look up to my left, all the way to the top of the wall that will appear, you will see an optical illusion of a freestanding wall. Look all the way up to the very top of the wall to my left. Folks, that is the Nix Hospital. It opened in 1930 as the first full-service hospital in San Antonio. It was also the first fully air-conditioned hospital in the country. Today you can go in there, get anything from a Band-Aid to open heart surgery. Now if you look directly in front of the boat end up, the big white building you see is the Hyatt Regency Hotel. It opened in 1981, but before it was built, its design was shadow tested because the building stands directly in front of the Alamo, and the city fathers would not allow its shadow to deny the Alamo the setting sun. So they limited its height to 16 stories. Now as we come around the bend, if you look off the front of the boat to my left, you will see two sets of double doors. Signage above those doors in Spanish reads Passage to the Alamo. That is an atrium, providing a direct passage from the Riverwalk to Alamo Square in the Alamo Museum. Alamo Square contains a number of the downtown attractions, such as Ripley's Believe It or Not, the Wax Museum, and a number of others. Now, if you look up to my right, that big brown building opened in 1927 as a German social club. It's called the Casino Club building. Today, its top 4 floors are private apartments, while the bottom 2 are shops and restaurants. We are now in a portion of the water park called River Square. Renovated in 1972, it's become the most popular portion of our park, featuring entertainment and dining venues on both sides of the river going up 3 levels. All offer inside and outside services. If you look to my right at river level, you will see a number of the vendors headquartered in River Square, offering for sale just about anything any visitor might care to purchase while at our water park. The Riverwalk, as we're cruising it this afternoon, was designed by Robert H. Hugman in 1928. City approved his plans in 1929, but because of the Depression, construction was delayed until 1939 and completed in 1941 as a WPA project at a cost of $430,000. Now, if you look off the front of the boat up to my right, you can see a circular building. It's one of the oldest on the river, called the Clifford Building, opening in 1890. Notice the signage on its balcony below the green hand railing, reading R.H.H. Hugman, Architect. In 1941, when construction was completed on this section of the water park, Robert Hugman, its concept architect, was the first person to locate a business at river level to make a point to his peers that because of the flood control system, their businesses would be safe. Now, if you look up to my right, you can see the Caserio restaurant. They're the oldest restaurant on the river. Opening in 1946, they pioneered riverside dining and all boating activities along the San Antonio River.